In the matter of treatment of so-called disease, the average metaphysician makes the mistake of dealing with the opposites, disease and health. Here are two conditions, the one to replace the other. In the East, they do not work in this way any more than did Jesus. When you seek for perfection, know that it is established unto you. Exalt perfection. Perfection exists independent of both the opposites of health and disease. Perfection is an eternally established fact in principle, and it is complete within itself on every so-called plane. Both health and disease are delusions according to Eastern philosophy, for they are only human concepts. For instance, your own ideal of health today would not suffice you in 5 years from now, for health is a relative ideal in your own consciousness. There is nothing relative in being. All is complete, all is perfect, and the true practitioner identifies himself with reality and does not deal with delusion. Let go of the opposites altogether and put in their place the perfection. We find that Jesus did not in any instant treat with the opposites. He put into the place of both the opposites the true perfection. His great statement was perfection always, and that perfection was always established unto him. If I place on the blackboard the figures 2 plus 2 equals 3, and then follow with 2 plus 2 equals 5, would you deal with the 3 and the 5 and try to establish the right answer? No. You would go right through these figures, deal with the fact that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and both these extremes would vanish. That which is less or more than the correct answer has nothing to do with the fact in principle, and it is only by bringing the fact of principle to bear upon the situation that any correct answer is possible. Our ideas of health and disease are both less than the perfection which is established in the foundations of the universe. And never can that which is less than perfection be made into perfection. You are dealing with something unrelated to either of these extremes. Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect, is the correct standard of procedure here. Most people fail in the so-called demonstration because they make a statement of perfection and then immediately begin to look back into the matter of the opposites. Only if thine eye be single shall thy body be filled with light. Lot's wife turned and saw double, and her body became stone or salt. Now, henceforth and forever, see only perfection, said Jesus. The moment that we establish perfection, the Christ stands forth dominant. Each works to establish the other, for the fact in spirit is the form of its manifestation. The effect of true spiritual treatment is not dependent upon the degree of unfoldment or spiritual development of the person treated. We need not bother about his consciousness, for it is based upon the opposites, else he would not be ill. The spiritual fact is, in the moment we stand in perfection, our consciousness is perfect as well. Speaking the word is never hypnotic, for it is the essence of the true nature of all creation. Treatment, or speaking the word, is not projecting our ideals of health to offset disease. This latter is hypnotic. Speaking the word is only telling the truth, declaring that which always has been and always will be true of any individual, condition, or circumstance in principle. Hypnosis is a result of speaking from the human mind with its imperfect concepts. It is not necessary that the sick or needy person asks you for help, nor that he be conscious that you are sending forth the word to him. If you send it forth on the Christ right ray, you are merely presenting his own innate perfection to him. In this way you liberate both yourself and him, for you are not dealing with anything but fact. You are not working against the will of an individual when you work with perfection, for the innate will of everyone is for perfection. This rather frees his will from its entanglements in the realm of false habits and concepts. There is no so-called influence in this sort of facing the situation. It is merely calling forth that which has always existed, until it arrests the attention of everyone involved, and they merely see that it is so. There is power in the spoken word always, if we see it as spirit, for then it can be nothing but spirit. We are the determinator. We are both the power and the expresser of that power, and we are the sole determinator of what that word shall carry with it. There is power in medicine on exactly this same basis. It is but the conveyor or means by which the mind of the patient is expanded to admit the creative authority of the universe. God is in the doctor, the patient, or the pill. Any individual, regardless of his profession or status, need only project the perfection. Of course, if we always would work in that perfection and manifestation of perfection, we soon would get out of medicine completely. Our word would heal us. There is no harm in using an agency in an attempt to minister to the needs of suffering mankind. There are many steps and many methods, but only one power. If our ideal is perfection, we are going to arrive at a point where there are no agencies. The agency which an individual employs only indicates the progress he has made in his own mind as to the suitable and most effective means of admitting perfection into his being. One thinks it must come through a pill, one thinks it will come through affirmations, but through whatever it comes, it is the perfection of principle that manifests. Only the highest ideals are adequate to contain the full measure of power that exists in divine principle, for the larger the container, the more can be conveyed. When the container and the contained are one, perfection, then it is complete in every plane. In treating at a distance, or what metaphysicians call absent treatment, thought is more rapid and potent than words. Thought does not know time and space, while a word or audible sound belongs on the material plane and must traverse space and endure in time in order to reach its destination. Notice how instantly your thought is at the sun, the center of the earth, or any other place. Thought does not travel. It is already there. Every fact in spirit is already there. And further, it is already in evidence. To see this fact is to lift yourself into this fact, and to see it for another is to lift him into it. If I be lifted up, if the perceptive faculty is lifted up to the plane of reality, it draws all things into that realm. This is the true approach, rather than to try to lift anything or anybody into the perfect state. We might as well try to make energy out of earth by using a pick and shovel. We know a man in India who walks through a storm just by the presentation of perfection of that storm. He will walk through a storm and never get wet. We have seen him stop fires and storms. Man himself is the Word of God, if he abides in that Word. If ye abide in my word, and my word abides in you, then are you in me, even as I am in you, is the truth of the whole thing. When Jesus sent his word and healed the centurion's daughter, he did not send anything as we measure it in the third three-dimensional world. Jesus, our Christ, was the Word himself, and there was not anything that was made but that which was made by the same Word. Therefore, the Word which he sent did not traverse space, for the Word was there as the truth of the carpenter's daughter, the centurion's daughter. Just as it was with him, he simply announced a universally true spiritual fact, and outer minds became awakened to this fact. Our remedies oft in ourselves do lie, which we ascribe to heaven. Those are words by Shakespeare. To govern the action and reaction of his own nature, therefore, would be one of man's primal secrets of power. To keep one's nature always working in perfect accord with the divine ideal of perfection would be to have all power in heaven and in earth.